Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to get to work on this project. This is going to be a tunnel book that I am making with Adventures in Magic, which is a exclusive collection from Country Craft Creations. I will be using the 12 by 12 collection pack, which is great because from Country Craft Creations in her papers, you get 3 of each design. There's a lot of elements here that I can use for fussy cutting of this project. You also get a sheet of cut-aparts that you can fussy cut. They also come with this one, actually came with the pre-cut. They're usually either pre-cut or you can punch out at least one sheet. So for this project, what's unique about it, you're only going to need chipboard, um, 2 sheets of the heavyweight chipboard is what I will be using for my cover. This is also from Country Craft Creations. And let me show you real quick. The one that I did, my prototype one a while back, was this one in Prima's Lost in Wonderland. Love how it turned out. So your cover is chipboard wrapped with the patterned paper, which I love that. And then the pages are made out of the patterned paper. We don't have any cardstock in here at all. It's all patterned paper so that you can cut through and see the pretty designs. So if you like this one here, the Alice in Wonderland one made with Prima's Lost in Wonderland, I do have a share video on my channel here with this one that you can look at. And that's what we'll be making, the same design with this Adventures in Magic, which is a Harry Potter themed. Now you're going to want, I haven't pulled those out, some kind of decorative elements, maybe some flowers or things you make. It just depends on how it all comes together. You're going to want some seam binding. I haven't decided what color I want yet to tie this because you can tie this book and make it a display piece. So I know I'm going to look kind of close up right there. But anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to show you how to make it. I won't go into detail on the whole book because there's a lot of fussy cutting and we don't have hours and hours to spend with that. But I will show you how to make the cover, which is the lay flat cover. I'll show you how to do that. Wrapping with the pattern paper. I've got to decide which ones I want. Then I will show you how to make a set of the pages for this because you put 6 of these tunnel pages in there. I'll show you how to do that. You're going to need your die cutting machine or some kind of pattern to cut in the center. Whatever die, I'll show you later what die I decide on. For Alice, I did use the, let's see, the circles. See that? Circles. And then I will show you how to do that and how to put your fussy cutting items in on one set. And then I will get all mine together and then I will show you how to put the pages together into the book and finish it all up. So anyway, this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you would join me. Tunnel books, they're not really for pictures. They're more for display or for fun to show your favorite paper. They're great for these types of papers where you have a theme like the Alice and the Harry Potter. I think it'd be adorable in the Winnie the Pooh. There's lots of fun character type papers that you can use that you might want to play with. So sit back, watch the video, see how it's done. Join me if you want, and let's have a great time. Okay, so we're ready to make the cover, and we need to cut out our pieces. I am wrapping it with patterned paper. So first of all, for the cover, you need 2 medium or heavyweight chipboard pieces that you have cut to 6.5 wide by 9. And then for the spine, you want a 2-inch wide by 9. So you have those. And then I cut out the same size in score tape sheets because when I'm wrapping with the patterned paper, I want it to be nice and smooth. I normally use glue, but to make sure there's no bubbling or anything, I use this score tape sheet for this when I use patterned paper. So you need 2 that are 6.5 wide by 9 and 1 that's 2 wide by 9. So that's for the cover. To wrap it, you're going to need you can do this in cardstock if you prefer, and then match your patterned paper, but I am wrapping in the patterned paper, so I have cut, let's see here, 2 pieces. I want to use the train and castle on the front and then the map on the back, so that's 2 sheets of that. So I cut 2 in each, 1 in each pattern, sorry. Cut 2 that are 8.5 wide by 11, And then for the spine, which I'm going to do on the train, so I did have to take another sheet of paper. I cut that down. I'm going to use the trains. So I cut this down to 5 inches wide by 11. So that's to wrap these chipboard pieces. And then for the inside, you're going to need a support piece. So I cut it out of pattern paper, which was the leftovers of that second sheet. So 2 sheets of pattern paper for your cover. This one is 6 by 9. And then I use scraps of my score tape to equal to 6 by 9. So I'm going to set that aside right now. I'm going to go ahead and off camera put all these down. So you put it on the back side. Whoops, not the paper. Put that aside. Let's not get confused. You put your score tape on one side of all your chipboard. So go ahead and get all that ready so we can assemble the album cover. So now I'm going to use my spacer tools, and oh, my light just look really dark here. Let's lighten this up some. There we go. This is the 1-inch L. I love the L ones. I have the long straight ones, but I love the L ones for my album creating. And this is the 1.5 by 1. These are available for Country Craft Creations. They're custom made for the shop, so you can check for those online. So go ahead and grab your first piece of pattern paper. This is the train. So since this is what I want to be on the cover, I'm going to flip this over to the back side. Now you can use your scoreboard to line these up if that makes it easier for you. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I just use my grid here. And I have already, of course, put my score tape sheet on, which you should have done also. So I'm just going to peel this off, but let me get my spacer. Oh, and I forgot to share. Take a bone folder or something after you put your tape down and burnish it really well to make it easier to come off or to peel off. So I'm going to take the 1-inch for this, and I'm going to place it on the edge of the pattern paper, top and bottom. This will give us a 1-inch space approximately all the way around, depending on how straight I get it on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and peel all this off. And then I hold my spacer and I attach this down in, up against it. Remember, it's very sticky like that. So like I said, that gives you your 1-inch all the way around. I'm going to flip it over, quickly burnish that down to make sure it's all smooth. And while I've got this one here, I'm going to go ahead and stand up all the edges to kind of get my fold going. And because I am using the pattern paper, I will be attaching these down with score tape. So I'll show you that in just a second. Normally I use glue, but I will be using score tape. So let's get our second sheet, which is the map. So I'm going to put that down. Line it up on the grid here or in your scoreboard. Get your 1-inch spacer, line that up. And your chipboard piece, take the backing off. Hold the spacer and then go ahead and put that up in there. Okay, we don't need the 1-inch anymore, so I'm going to put that aside. Flip this over, burnish it down. Now when we're putting our album cover together, we'll have to pay attention to the direction of our paper. We don't want it upside down on the front and the back. So I'm just creasing these really quick. I love wrapping with the pattern paper, and if you're using the Country Craft Creations pattern paper, it is not going to crack because it's the Bristol vellum paper, and it works really, really well. So now we're going to grab our spine piece. So I want the train, so I'm going to flip this over, line it up on the grid, take my 1.5 inch and 1-inch spacer. So I want 1 inch at the top, 1.5 on the sides, which should, once you put that on there, we'll have 1.5 on each side. I got this one on a little crooked, my score tape, so I just kind of folded it over, and it'll work out just fine. So I've got a little bit here on the edge that doesn't have any score tape, but that won't cause us a problem because that's where it's going to be attached anyway. So I'm going to lay this up right in there, just like we did on the cover. Drop it down, and we can put this away and flip it over and give it a burnish. The Hogwarts castle and the trains, and then we're just going to fold this here on the ends and here. Now let's go ahead and wrap our cover pieces. So this is the front one, and I am going to be using score tape. So I have a 3/8 inch tape. Whatever width you have will work. I'm going to put tape here on the chipboard edge all the way around. Let me get my tearing tool. So you just do it here. I'm going to put it down here. And the edges. Now with the lay flat method to miter your corners, you can certainly cut out the squares as Tammy does in her original design. I like to miter mine at an angle. And it's been a while since I've crafted, so now I don't know where I put my mitering tool. You don't have to have one, but if you have one, it is kind of nice, but I don't see where I put it. So I'm just going to eyeball it with my with the scissors. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put tape on the edge of the paper as well. And you'll notice that I'm just putting it up to that fold line that I made, because there's no need to put it in that part that you're going to be cutting away. You don't want to waste any of your adhesives. Now I am using score tape on this, but I do need a little bit of the glue. So I'm going to be grabbing that as well in just a second here. So I'm going to burnish all these to make sure they stick down good. And I'm going to show you doing this with just one cover, and then you will do the other on your own. I'll do mine off camera, but I'm going to take my scissors. I like my big scissors. And I can see where the tip is. It's kind of hard on this brown. And I'm going to angle cut and stay about 1/8 of an inch from the tip or so. Just like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to work on the long sides first. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off that. And I'll probably just go ahead and take all the tape backing, not the tape, just want the backing off. So just take your pokey tool if you have one, or whatever you like to use to grab that backing with. Okay. And then on the, like I said, the long side, I'm going to take my glue, my art glitter glue, and I'm going to run a line of glue right along the edge of the chipboard between the the adhesive, and I'm going to go ahead and press that down. And some of that excess glue is going to come out right there. That's fine. Get a wiping tool, cloth, paper towel or something, wipe that off. Okay. Now we're going to do the other side the same way. My glue's just a little bit thin there, so I'm going to shake it up a little bit. Fold that over and burnish. Okay. Now then, if you mitered it this way, you're going to need where this little bit of paper overhangs the end from this paper, you're going to need to like burnish it down so that when it folds up, it's tucked in. So you do it there, and then you add your glue. And fold over, and it should lay down nice and flat and not have any overhang or extension of the paper or rough end there. So we just burnish that. Wipe off any glue that may come out. So you've got a nice edge. And what I do is I like to run my bone folder over that after I've wrapped those. So this one, we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to burnish in that excess from this piece here that sticks out. You want to make sure it's burnished in, and then you do your glue. Fold that over, wipe that corner, and burnish. Okay, so we have a nice wrapped cover here with the trains on the front. So this is our front piece. I'm going to go ahead and real quickly wrap this one. You go ahead, wrap yours exact same way, and then we'll come back and do the spine. Okay, so I have my second cover wrapped. So here's the map. And like I said, when we put them together, we've got to make sure the up and down matches. You don't want your map upside down. Okay, so lay those aside. I went ahead and put my score tape on the top and bottom and on the chipboard here of the spine like this. Nothing here because this is what's going to attach to the cover. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to peel this backing off of these tapes. And again, I probably do mine just a little bit different than Tamara does hers, simply because it's me. It's when I do it the other way, sometimes things don't line up right for me. So I like to put some glue on the edge here and then across here and then this entire piece underneath where the score tape is. And instead of cutting this away, I leave mine. Don't know why. It's just, I've done it both ways and I like it this way. And what I do is really burnish right up against that chipboard there where it's folded, where it's attached down, to kind of make it finished, like it's one piece in there. It's very flattened down, this paper right here. So you could cut that away if you want to get rid of the bulk, but if you burnish it down really well, I don't have a problem with it. So it probably depends on how thick your cardstock is that you're using. I don't have a problem with it when I'm using the Artisan from Country Craft Creations or the pattern paper here. Okay, so this one folds over as well. And again, I just burnish right up against it and really flatten that out. My glue right here. Okay, and right up against the chipboard. Okay, so now we have it like that. So sometimes I will miter this off after the fold, sometimes not. It just depends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this and burnish. This is going to be where and I've got that score tape there that I folded over. Let me see if I can get some of that off. I don't want it sticking down. Okay, so I'll burnish that. And then I'm going to flip it backwards. This is kind of getting the fibers used to bending back and forth, because that's where the cover is going to be opening, and bending backwards. We do that. Then we have this, then I'm going to take this and burnish right up against that chipboard and really get me a good, detailed, smooth line in their groove. So I want it to look really nice and smooth on this cover. Okay, so now we have that. Like I said, I haven't mitered that yet. So we're going to work on the front one first. So it's going to fit like this. Pay attention to the directions. We don't want anything upside down. And I'm looking at it to see if I'm going to need to miter any of my edge there. So I like to, this is the outer part of the spine, fold this back under like that. So this piece here is going to fit right up against it, like backside. I always do that. The back side is going to go up against on the back flap like that, so that when it opens up, we have it like this. So right here is where it's going to attach. Now I do use glue for this, and this is where I am looking again to see if my edge here needs trimmed off. I don't think so, but just in case, I'm going to show you. Put your scissors right up against the chipboard of the spine, the blade, and you're just going to take a very tiny snippet off. You don't want to make a big angle. Okay, so put it up against the chipboard and just take the teeniest bit off. So that's going to keep it from sticking out of from your cover piece, if you think that it will. I don't think that it was going to, but I wanted to show you just in case. It's better to do it now than to wait and think, oh, I should have cut that off. Okay, so now fold it back again. And this, going to pay attention, is going to go like that. So with it folded like this, I keep my glue about 1/8 of an inch from the fold line. I don't want it oozing out and showing. So I'm going to put glue on the whole piece here, just like this. So you see there, and that's just on that wing. So you see there, there's none up against that fold. Then you take this, making sure we've got it going the right direction, and I'm going to line it up even, edge to edge here. I even like to do that. I'm going to take it. Now with the pattern paper, it does take a little, because of the coating, I guess, a little longer for it to grab. So if you have some clothespins you want to use to hold that on till it dries, you can do that. So I'm just going to wait a few seconds. My clips will leave a mark on the pattern paper, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to burnish this, and I'm going to wait a few seconds and let that dry. Okay, so we have that part on. So now we're ready for the back. Again, fold the flap down, so it's like that. We're going to put the back side of this piece onto here. So it's like that. Make sure it is not upside down, so I can see the lake, part of Hogwarts here. So the map is correct like that. So take your glue, about 1/8 of an inch from the top edge or the fold edge, down the side, oops, and the glue all in the inside here. The map back cover, and making sure my direction. Line this up, edge to edge. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Holding it down, I'm going to burnish and flip it and burnish, and I'm going to let that dry for just a second. Okay, so there it is together. There's the cover piece. So while it was drying, I went ahead and put my score tape on the back side of this piece. I want the frogs facing up. And we're going to stick this one down right in here while this is flat. So go ahead and take the backing off. Okay, so pull the backing off, and then I'm going to look at it and see if I have any sticking over the edge. And if there is, I'm just going to take my fingers and fold it back. I don't want any sticky oozing out the top and the bottom, especially the top and the bottom. The other's going to be covered up, but just kind of, I never can get it on perfect. So there we go. All right, now then, I cut mine to where they're the same height as my cover. I don't like it short. So I've got to be very careful to make sure I line it up good here on the bottom. And I want it extending over just a little bit over these wings. So I'm just going to center it like this. Get it as close to the bottom without extending beyond the cover. Drop that down, and that should fit perfectly between there, and it does. So burnish it. Then gently fold up your cover where the bend is, and I burnish it right in that fold with this bone folder. It can be that type or this type of bone folder. It doesn't matter. Just make sure it's not a sharp one. You want the rounded edge getting that pushed down in there. Same here. Gently fold it up and burnish it in. So what it does is it pushes that score tape down into that spine area, the back side of it. And you have a nice cover. So that's the cover of our book. Now our ribbon is going to go on the inside. When I decide to do that, I may go ahead and do that now so that I don't forget it later. Because our pages, we don't have to cover this because our pages will attach to the cover on the inside, and you're not going to see anything. You don't have to cover this part in here unless you just want to. It's just you're not going to see it. So there's really no reason to do that. I'm just making sure this is attached down really good. We don't want any bubbling. And get that burnished so that it bends both ways. So I'm gently bending it the opposite direction because that's the way it's going to bend if you want to stand your book up with your pages all opened out. So very gently, you don't want any cracking. So that's why it's important if you're using pattern paper, you use a good quality pattern paper like Country Craft Creations or the Prima that I used with the Lost in Wonderland. So then we back this and here. So we got a really nice bendable cover, just like that. It's just like you could do the opposite direction if you wanted to, where it's rounded here, or like that. That's the way it goes. So the next thing you need to do is pick out your patterned paper for your page sets. There's going to be 6 page sets in the book, and each page set is made up of 4 pieces of paper. Now in this one, I didn't have very many sheets of the actual paper from Prima, from that collection, Lost in Wonderland. So I supplemented with similar colored papers from an old collection I had from Stampira. So you cannot really see once you assemble a page set like this. So you want the first one to definitely be of the collection you're working with, and maybe the second one. As you go further in, depending on the size of your openings, you can't really see except for this part in here where you look down in it. And so you would want your paper colors to match. Does that make sense? Now I am going to be using all papers from the Country Craft Creations collections, Adventures in Magic. So I had to think every time about that name, but anyway, Adventures in Magic. So I'm going to be using all those. So I did need 2 packages, because by the time I wrapped my cover and used the 2 sheets here, I didn't quite have enough. So I used a whole pack. I still have my cut aparts and everything, but I did need open another pack and take out 3 more sheets of paper from a second pack. So you could either supplement with maybe my colors or something way back there on the back, or a different collection that has the same color palette. So you don't have to use all of your collection if you don't want to. The next thing you need to do is put them into sets the way you want them. So like, for example, you need 4 sheets of paper for each page set. So I picked out these to go together, and then I paper clipped them together. So I have 6 different sets that I have picked out. So I have, and it really doesn't matter way back there on the back. I kind of like the first 2 to really go together good. So I have the card there. And so here's the different sets. You just split it up so that you have 6 sets of 4 pages each, and then you're going to cut them down. So like I said, I am going to show you assembling 1 page set, because it's all going to be the same assembly wise once you get going. So I think I'm going to take this one first, and we're going to cut these down. So you decide which one you want on the front. That's going to be your smallest paper. So it's graduated sizes. You're going to have, in each set, you're going to have a 12 by 8.5 tall, a 10.5 wide by 8.5 tall, a 9 inches wide by 8.5 tall, and an 8-inch wide by 8.5 tall. So I'm going to pause, go cut my papers, and then I'll come back and show you what I mean. So this is what I've cut for my first page set. You'll notice that they're all the same height. All the pages are going to be 8.5 tall to go in the book, okay? All of them are 8.5 tall. The first one on the front is cut at 8 wide. I wanted the car on the front, even though part of it's going to be cut out. This one is 8 wide. 8 wide, 8.5 tall. The next one, 9 wide, 8.5 tall. So that's going to go like that. 10.5 wide by 8.5 tall. And the last one is 12 wide by 8.5 tall. Now we need to score them. And so I'm going to grab my scoreboard. And a scoring tool. Now the first one, we're going to score all of them at exactly a half. So if you're comfortable with just folding evenly like this, You can do that. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can line up your edges right there. Make sure each corner, hold it, press in the center. So this is just as easy as trying to figure out where to score, like that. This one would be scored at, since it's 8, would it be scored at 4? I don't know why I made that so hard. So you could put it in with the 8 at the top, score at 4, fold it, and burnish like this. Once we have them all scored, then we're going to just cut out the center to make the tunnel part. So there's the first one. The second one is 9, so that would be 4.5. Or again, if you wanted to just fold it in half, you could. Just like that. I want to make sure that it's even, though. We don't want it crooked. So I kind of got off there just a little smidge. Line it back up. Hold it down. And then make sure that it is burnished straight. Okay, so that is the second one. It's going to stack like this. And you're going to see how these are going to go together. It's really easy to make. It's just something that, because I like that castle there, but anyway, that's what I'm going to use. The next one, your 10.5 would be at 5.25 to make it at the half, right? 5.25. I want the blue stars. I'm just going to line it up and make sure I have it burnished straight on my score line here. Okay, so there's that one. And then the last one is 12, so you're going to score at 6. So all of your page sets are made the exact same way, the same size pages. You just decide which one you want on the top. So your big, widest one goes on the bottom. Then the next one, your next one, and your most narrow one goes on the front. So now I need to simply decide what shape I want to cut. I don't think I have any square dies, but I'm going to pause. I'm going to see what I've got as far as dies. You want the nesting kind of dies, so you have the different sizes. So look and see what you have that will work for your tunnel. I'll show you again on this one. This was a circle, and I ended up doing different size circles in there. If you see, this one's a fairly good size. I did bigger ones sometimes, like on the front. Sometimes I did the smaller one. It's just a preference of what you want to put in there, like that. See, that one's smaller. Each one's a little bit different. I just thought it gave it a lot of interest to have the lots of the different sizes and feeling like you had fallen through the tunnel through the looking glass. So let me check my die, see what I want. And of course, my machine's on another table without a camera. You know how to do die cutting. I will do the die cutting off camera and show you what I did use. And so, because yours are all going to be different anyway. Okay, so I went and pulled out some of my die sets. This is what I used on the Lost in Wonderland, was the circle, because that made me feel like the tunnel that Alice was falling through. Then I also had this one. This would have been cool for Alice also, with flowers, but I don't think that's the vibe I want for the Adventures in Magic. But I have this hexagon one, and I think this is the one that I want to use. So let me pop this open. Don't have any others on the other sides, I don't think. Oh, I have rectangle. I forgot about that. So rectangle would give me different sizes for the openings, the bigger openings. So I'm going to go with the rectangle. Changed my mind. So you take your die, like this first one. Your fold is where you want to position your die at the center. Now, you decide how big an opening you want. Now, see, this is going to cut away the carb, but then I will keep this cutaway part and put it on the layer underneath. I will fussy cut that out. So I'm trying to decide if that's how big I want it. I think perhaps it is. So this die is the opening, looks like 4 1/4. No, 4 1/8. So that would be 2 1/16 would be the center. So where my score line is, 2 1/16 right there. 16th is that little bitty mark. Then I'm going to lay this one on here. And get that centered. Pretty close. It doesn't have to be 100%, just close enough. And then you should have some tape, low tack tape. This is the Craft Perfect die tape that you can get from Country Craft Creations. So let me line this up again. That's the center. So 2. Sometimes I just eyeball it. And I'm looking at it top and bottom. Scooch it down a little bit right there. So I think that's going to work. This is where I'm going to tape it for the die cutting. So that's going to die cut that out. Okay. Now the second one, and you're going to have to die cut the first one, then position your second one underneath. So let me die cut that. And I think, what size do I want to make it? I'm going to skip down 2 for the second one. Let's see. That's going to give me enough. We'll see. Maybe 3. I may scooch down to the third one below. Okay. So I'm going to go die cut this, come back, position the next one, get my die on it, and then die cut it. So I die cut, I position, and then die cut. So you do that all the way through. And like I said, you can make your openings different on each page set. I can make this one smaller on the next one if I wanted to, and then make the one behind it bigger. It's just whatever you feel like doing. So let me die cut this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've die cut this. This is my sandwich that I made from my machine. And I ended up putting more tape on it because it just wasn't holding it down. So let's lift this up, take it out. Oops. And I always run them through twice just to make sure they cut. Now remember, I said for this one, we need to keep the car from the cutout inside here, because we're going to be able to fussy cut it, possibly part of the tree, to put it on our second layer underneath. So this one I want to save. So now we have this frame like this for our page, okay? So we're going to grab our next piece. It's going to be this one. So line it up, center the fold to the fold so you can see. It doesn't matter about the gap here on the sides. That's going to be taken care of, because when this is attached together, it's going to be like that with a gap. See that? But we want our centers, our folds, to be lined up, so we can determine how much we want to keep underneath. So take my die, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to line this up again. Gets a little fiddly trying to get this all lined up and work going the way you want to, but it's so much fun once you start fussy cutting. Now, so if I use this one, I think that's the size I'm going to use. So let me grab some clips here. I want to make sure everybody stays where they're supposed to. So there's my fold. I'm going to clip that. And there's my fold down there. Clip that one. So now I'm going to lay this in here. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to center it where I think it should be, top and bottom. Let's tape here. Piece of tape right here. So you can see how you do it. Now you do this on every page set depending on the openings that you want, the sizes of them. You may want to do them all the same. You may want to just alter it. So there's that. Now I'm going to take this top one off. And I'm going to put my plate back together. This. And we'll go and cut that one out, and the blue one will be next. So we got it all sandwiched in here, and you'll probably have to reverse it the other way because it's getting bigger. So I'll be right back with this one. Okay, so I've got this one cut, and on the back side you will see that I have part of the castle. So I may or may not use that. We'll see. I'm going to set that aside as well. Okay, so we used that one, this one. So let's put these together, see how they look. Now when you glue them together, they're going to be like even on the sides so that you have that space in there. Yeah, I like that. I like that sizing. And I may do all of mine the same on this one. I don't know. So we got that one there. So now let's do the blue. So again, we're going to line these up with the clips on the fold line. Oops. Go. Get that going. Okay, now we're going to see. So this one will have the third opening. This one has no opening. It's going to be the back. So you die cut 3 times through the first 3 pages. So let's see, we want a smaller one too. So that's the size is here. We go down to the third one. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay. So I'll give you the sizes that I'm using so you can see if you have something similar. Just going to line this up in the center and take our tape. Tape it and look at it, make sure that's where we want it. Make sure I'm recording. I had to stop and look. Okay. So yeah, I think that's going to work. So take that loose, and then I'm going to take this one over to the cutting machine and get that one cut. And let me give you the measurements right quick. So the smallest opening, which I'm putting on the third sheet, is on the inside 2 5/8 wide by 3 7/8 tall. That's that one. The next one that I use from the inside is 3 3/8 wide by 4 5/8. The biggest one that I used is, I think I gave it to you earlier, but anyway, 4, oops, 4 1/8 wide. By 5 and it's like 5 3/8 tall. So that's the sizes that I'm going to be using on mine. Like I said, you can use any shape you want, any sizes you want. You're going to do 3 for each page set. So let me go cut this one. Okay, so I've got all cut for this page signature, and you can save that. I might use that. So the first thing we're going to do, let me move my scoreboard out of the way. So this one, now I'm going to cut all of my signatures of my pages the same. So I'm going to use the big one, the next size down, and then the smaller one like that for the tunnel. So it's going to be like that, okay? So I'm going to cut all of mine the same off camera. We're not going to do it all together because everybody's is going to look different, okay? Now then, before I start fussy cutting and gluing things in, I attach the left sides together, and I leave these open so I can glue all my fussy cut pieces in. So take your art glitter glue, and you're going to put a thin line on the left side of your second page of glue, right like this. Okay, make sure your directions are going correct and line up the smaller one on top. So it looks like this. Now make sure they're even on the top and the side. So your glue is just on the very edge of this one here. You have a few seconds that you can kind of manipulate that and move it around and get it even. Okay, so it's going to look like that. It's going to look funny, but when everything's glued in and this side's attached like that, that's what you're going to have. Okay, so now we take the third one, which has the opening, and the same thing on the left side. Now if you're left-handed or you just want to do it the other way, you can do all your gluing on the right and then insert from the other way. This is just the way that I did it. So now this one here stacks on top. So the smaller ones all go on top. And line that up. Just like that. And let that dry. You can even burnish that down some. So it's like that. And then, of course, the very last one is going to go to the left like that. So this is what we have pre-assembly of adding our all our elements that we want to add in. Now, I call this a tunnel book because it really doesn't have places for pictures unless, say that loosely, unless you were to put a picture in the far back there. You could put a couple of pictures in there, but you do have that fold, so that would make it a little funky, but you could put some small pictures in there if you wanted to. It'd be kind of cool. But anyway, you'd have to do that as you're assembling. Just can't do it after the fact very well. Okay, now then, even though I lined them up perfectly, they kind of look like they're uneven, and that's okay because you can take ink or paint or whatever you want to do before you do your assembly and do your edges. On the Alice one, I used a gold. See the gold on the edges right here to kind of finish everything off, because that's the sparkly gold look is what I wanted. This one, I think I used all the gold, so I don't have any. So I'm going to look and see what I have that I might want to use. But now I'm off camera. I'm going to do fussy cutting. I mean, I can show you the car really quick. You're going to go through all of your leftover papers, now your fussy cut things, and this is why you probably would want your second pack of the paper, or if you have the 8x8, you could use some elements from the 8x8 too, to fussy cut. But I have the cutoff pieces left from doing the pages. So I have things that I can, you know, fussy cut out if I want to. Okay, so let me show you here. I'm going to take my smaller scissors. Now I know it has the fold, but that's going to be okay. And then I look at the image. I'll go ahead and cut this little bit of the tire out with it. Got the underneath the car. I just don't want to waste anything. Even though it has a score line in it, it's going to be fine. You can put a piece of tape on the back over the fold if you need to make it, you know, stiffer, make it where it doesn't fold. So I just take my scissors and I fussy cut around. Now I cut off the tree, but I think I may go back and cut some of that tree out also. And I will show you once I have enough fussy cut things. The mirror's a little tricky, but I kind of like the mirror to show you how I glue these in and how I decide. And again, I'm only going to do this on one page set because I think that you could certainly customize yours the way you want to. So there's that. Now that little piece there is kind of flimsy, so I'm going to take a piece of Scotch tape or gift wrap tape, and I'm going to put it over that. And I'm also going to put it over the fold, like I was saying, right there where that fold is. Now I get that on there, then I'm going to cut out the excess tape around it. The tape is just making it a little stronger, but I don't want to alter the color of the paper or the texture of the paper any. So I just want the tape on the back like that. So we got the mirror there. So that's the car. Now, what you would do when you fussy cut things out, and I tend to fussy cut and then start adding things in. You can fussy cut a couple of things, glue them in, then add some more. So if you don't like to fussy cut, perhaps a tunnel book might not be a project that you would like. But if you have never done it and you want to do something fun with the paper, I got that tape on me, let me get it off, so that you have the paper to look at, because I know a lot of you you get the paper and you hate to cut it because you love the paper, right? But this is a great way to showcase that paper. You don't have any pictures in it unless you just wanted to, but look at that. And all the little different elements that can go with it. It's just, you can look way down in there and see so many different details, the teacups. And I just absolutely love how this one turned out. It's just, I don't know. I think this one's going to be fun too. I love the car. It's just, I love Harry Potter. And so I guess we're allowed to say Harry Potter, right? I know there's a copyright on his images and stuff, but surely we're allowed to say Harry Potter, right? Because we all know that's who it is. I'm not going to put it in writing, I guess, on my video, but anyway, we have adventures and magic going on here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's some tree branches here. It's kind of a weird tree, isn't it? So we'll get this branch cut here. I'm going to cut this other one off. We're going to have a like that. So you'll find that I talk to myself a lot when I'm trying to fussy cut different things, elements. Let's go down. There we go. So that's where the car was. Let's take this one like that. So we'll just finish it off and cut some of it out. So we got that. This scraps we're going to toss those. And you see where the tree is down here? Yeah, like that. Now then, you can also glue it to the back of what you just had. Let's put some temporary on there so we can kind of see that's trash. And then I'm just going to kind of reposition it in there where it would have been. There's not much of it left. And then we're going to pull this all out again. Clip it together. You can do the top and the bottom to really get the effect of it all. And see? Yeah, I like that because I would probably glue. Now you have to be mindful of when you're gluing that this is going to fold back up in the book. Okay, that's important. I forgot to tell you that. So these branches here may have to be clipped off. And that car is, as long as it fits in the windows behind it, it should be okay. See that one kind of folded up? Okay, so you just have to play with it, but I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera off for a bit while I fussy cut out different elements that I think I might want in this set, and then I will show you getting them all assembled and show you how to do one, and then you will be on your own to do all the rest of yours the way you like it. Don't be afraid to do different things with it. Yeah, see this right here, I am going to, because that's just going to be a problem. I'm just going to cut that one off right there. And we're just going to have it kind of like a stump type. Kind of like that. Lay those aside. I might use them later. But this is going to go right back in here. Yep. And then that will be glued there too. I like it. All right, so I'm going to do some fussy cutting, and then we'll put that together, and I'll show you how to do that one. And then, of course, I'll do all the rest of mine off camera. Then I'll show you how they look finished, and then I'll show you how to put them all in the book. Okay, so I'm going to get busy. I've done a lot of fussy cutting for this page set. I have things kind of placed where I wanted it to go. I've clipped it together to see what it's like. So this is how you have to determine where you're going to put stuff. Nothing's glued down. And you have to make sure that anything that's not attached, like the car and the owl, when it folds shut, that they're not into the fold of any of your sections. So I'm going to take these all apart and show you what I've done. Now, I haven't inked the edges yet. I did a little bit here with some of this gold ink. I decided to just use gold. A black would probably look good. I may see what a little bit of gold and black look like together on this. So what I did is I was going to use that car that was cut out from that insert and put it on the inside, but I decided I wanted the whole car on the front. So I took another sheet from my second pack of paper of the collection and fussy cut that around, and I'm going to glue it down. Now, it doesn't go over the car on the bottom because, as I said, you have to play with this to make sure it's not in the fold. So I have tree branches that I'm going to be gluing down over the top. This was punched out with a circle just out of some of the blue scraps. And these, I will show you how they're not fast attached down permanently. These are popped up. I will show you how I pop up these two here, because that just makes the whole thing, I think, really, really adds to it. So I'm going to grab my black ink, and then I'm going to start probably from the back inside, back in here. So what I did out of the second piece of paper from the collection, or the second whole pack, is I cut out another full castle, and I fold it in half because it's going to go right in the groove here of the fold. because I wanted some kind of image way back in there when you look. So anyway, let me grab my black ink and I'll see how that looks. Okay, so I took the gold and inked around the edges of this base piece, especially on the edges that you're going to see with the gold. And then I decided to use the pumice stone around on the castle here. So this is going to be glued flat down on this back piece here. And I just need to make sure it's going to fit. So it's about, I'm going to do about an inch, or maybe a little lower. Let's see here. I want more of the castle showing. So about a ½ inch from the bottom. So I'm going to take my glue. And like I said, this one's going to glue flat down. So you would find the image you want if you want something in there. Sometimes your patterned paper is all you need. But you do want to fold it in half before you glue it down so that it will fold easily with the book. Okay, and get all these points done here. That's enough. There we go. Okay, so now, like I said, on the fold, about a ½ inch or so from the bottom, that puts that fold right in there. So then I'm going to burnish this really well right here. And I've got glue coming out, and that's fine. That means it's going to be sticking good. I'll grab me a piece of Viva paper towel here to get that. And it doesn't have to be straight. You're not going to see this bottom part at all anyway. So I'm just going to burnish that, make sure it's sticking down really good here in the center and everywhere. Okay. So that is all I have to do on my back piece, right back there, because we can see that way back in there. See it? I wanted the image of the castle or Hogwarts going all the way through like that. Now the third page with the pretty blue stars, all I have here is this owl. And I'm just going to look, see where I put him, put his wings kind of. So I'm going to take him off for right now. I'm going to get my gold ink. And I'm going to ink around the edges of this. See, that makes it really pop there, that gold. And I'm especially going to ink, because you can't really see that, but you can see the edges. I want to really ink it right in here, because you can see that through there. And it would be easier on my next ones, because I won't be doing it on camera, ink them before I glue the pages together. So I'll do all that, do all your inking, especially these openings, before you actually glue this page together. So there we go. I like how that's making that pop. And so again, I'm going to ink these edges and get all that inked so that when this is glued together, you're going to see the gold on the edges. Okay, now we're ready to put the owl on. Now I found with this particular collection, there's a lot going on some of the printed papers. And you don't have to glue or fussy cut, add as many fussy cut elements to it as you do, as I did with the Alice. So what I'm looking at right here, I'm going to put my glue on the tips of the wings here. And then this, the head and the wing, and most of the little thing there, the envelope, because you don't want any glue that's going to go behind that. Now, if you have, let's look and see if I have something plastic, and I don't have an empty bag. Let me grab, no. If you have a plastic that you can put underneath, it helps a lot to keep your glue from going to where you don't want it. But I'm going to be able to, I think, just stick him on like this. and lift it up, and then look on the back. And if I need to wipe any off, I will. So we want him stuck down with a little bit of the feathers sticking over. So that is the third layer with the owl. Now I have the owl in the front, so it looks bigger, getting smaller. Okay, like that. Now the second one from the back, I only have a couple of pieces. I have a little bit of the castle from a scrap, and this, like, I don't know if that's a diploma or scroll or something. So I do need to ink this section. Put this back here. We want to ink. Now that gold keeps flipping on me. The gold may not show that much on there. I don't know. I'm going to use it anyway. The pumice might have looked better, but I like the shine of the gold. And that's why it's real sticky when I put my foam down on there. Like that. To lift it up. Definitely ink your cut aparts, your framed areas, before you glue your pages together, okay? I mean, it's turning out okay, but it's a little harder to do, so it just makes sense to make it easier. Okay, my card came off there, and we ink, of course, the page top edges. We want all of that inked. Okay. So while we're putting this in, this castle, so I'm going to have to look at it again to make sure it's going to go where I want it to. Pretty much, I'm going to put some gold on it, I think. The other one I put the pumice stone on, but this one I'm going to put some gold here. Okay. I'm going to glue it so that it's right here on the edge. So the bottom edge, like here, and then this whole edge here. Just like that. Of course, yours may turn out different, and I'm going to put it to the fold and then attach it down. I'm going to make sure I'm not getting any glue on the back side here. Okay, and burnish that down. So that's all that okay, I had this. Seriously, that was all that I had, but I had the diploma looking piece. Where'd it go? Hello, there it is. Kind of had it in here. So I'm going to put a little ink on it. Getting that gold ink all over me. And I think the glue was just on the ribbon and the bottom edge, maybe. I'm just going to kind of put it right here. Make sure I'm not gluing it down on the back anywhere. Okay. Okay, so there's that. Now we're on to the front. There's my castle. And that piece. Okay. It did need to go down further. Oops. So before the glue dries, and it's going to be okay, gently pick it up. That piece right there, I'm going to ink that. It needs to drop down below the frame. Just a tad. There we go. So here we glue that. So I needed it down a little further. Put more glue. So sometimes you have to put it down and then quickly decide that it's got to be relocated. So no problem with that. A little more glue here. Okay. So where I lifted it there, it's no problem. I'm just going to add a little bit of the gold, just like that. Now then it should, yeah. You want it all the way down in there. Okay. So all these pieces have to come off so I can ink this last bit. Okay. So we want to ink with gold inside this frame. A lot of it will not show, but that's okay. We're going to ink it anyway. This comes off too. I really like how that gold shines. Now the other gold that I used on the other book had the bits of glitter in it. I can't remember the name of what it was, but I used it all. It was a paste type that I had to put on with a brush and with my fingers. That was really a mess. Okay, there we go. I know it's not going to show with that car, so right there might show. And right in here, I want extra, I think. Okay, so now I'm going to ink this edge here, especially on it because it's going to show right here on the front page. I want the edges all inked. I've already done some of this here. That all inked right there, where all those pages are. And the edge and the top. Okay, now we're ready to glue and finish this top part, and I'll show you how to make the pop-up elements. Okay, so first the car. It doesn't pop up. It's going to glue here, but it's going to glue at an angle dropped down where you see part of it up there. Because, like I said, we have to make sure that when this book folds, and we need to go back in here and make this one fold up. After you let that piece in the center glue, then you need to come back in and fold up your page. Okay. So we need to make sure that the car is going to glue in and still fold like that. So the top edge is kind of like that. So I'm putting my glue on the wheel and this one side of the car. And we're going to line it up again. Okay. Make sure the car is okay, it clears. Make sure it is not sticking back here. Wipe up any excess glue you might have. Okay. Then I need to make sure I have some under this windshield right here. Okay, put that down. Okay, so there's the car. The next I cut tree branches. And this big one, I think that came across like this. So I'm going to glue it on this one side and leave it free on the other side until I'm ready to layer some other stuff. So I'm going to put it here at the top, and I'm going to let it kind of drape down over the car. I did have it going straighter out some, but I kind of like it like that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that loose because I have more pieces of it. Here's some that I want to use to hide that extra windshield. We don't need that in there, so that goes there. Okay, this upper branch here. So just cut out little bits of things. If you're working with something that has flowers or whatever you need to kind of, cover up something you don't want to be seen. See, that works better. I think that was the only one I had, right? Did I have that somewhere? I don't think so. I think that was extra. Okay, so that's good. It's not over the folding part, so I can put glue on these thin pieces of branches and go ahead and glue them down into place, just like that. This one here. If you want some popping up a little bit, you can. So there's what the car looks like. That looks good. Landed in the tree, right? Okay, now the owl. We had it down here. So I cut this wing straight with the book, like this. The wing is not going to be attached. So this wing here, down in here, the envelope, kind of like that. And I'm going to see maybe the bottom edge of these. So I want to position it so it's in the tree on the edge of the page, up a little bit. We want this envelope on the page, that part there. Let's double check under here. Yeah, see we have extra glue that doesn't need to be there. Wipe that off and then burnish the rest of it down. Now this goes over that fold a little bit, so you need to check that. I'm going to tweak him down just a little bit. There we go, to get that off that fold. Okay. Yeah, right there. Okay, so you just have to play with it and then put a little more glue to hold all that down. Right there. Looks good. Took a little bit of the gold on this wing here on the edge and just kind of blend that in. Okay, so there's that piece there. So now we're going to work on the other side of this front page. So that's looking good. Okay, this castle, all the other castle probably covers that up. Okay. So we had this castle here on a pop-up. So I'm going to show you how to do the pop-ups. So what I do is I just cut about a 1-inch strip out of my scraps, okay? And you can make several of these at once. Put the long side in your scoreboard and I score it every 1/2 inch. I may end up having more or less than what I need, but I'm going to show you what I do. Then I count out 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I cut on the score line so that I have 5. And then I fold those in. I put glue on just the top of one section. Glue one section over that. And that makes a box-like rectangle, like that. And then on my castle, I'm going to Flatten this down the way I want it to be. I only want glue on one section, like that. I put it here on the back. Then the section on the right, I just put glue on it. Flip this over, put the castle where I want it. Press it down and let it dry. And then it will pop up like that when you open your page. So let it dry and then let it do like that. So now I need to look this over because I didn't put my castle in far enough on that second layer. See it there? I'm going to have to cut out some more castle and put there. That's okay. It's okay. So now let's put our moon piece back. Let's put some gold on it. On the edges. Blue moon. And that is going to just glue right in there. Like that. And then we have this. So I made the pop-up the same way. And I'm just going to glue it on the back of this letter and Harry's glasses. Flatten it down. Glue goes on the opposite of the one attached to the back. On this, I'm going to kind of let it go over the edge a little bit, but it pops up. So it's going to let that dry. Oh, I should have let's put some gold on it. Wait a minute. Just a little bit on the edges. Okay, got the gold on it. So it's still got glue. Let's put a little more back. Remember, just on one section because you want it to pop up. And there we go. We're going to put it like that. And when it dries, it will pop up. Okay? So there's that. I did cut out this little torch. Maybe I'm just going to glue that on the back behind that. Okay, like that. Okay, so now I need to find another piece of castle to add onto this because I want to make sure that has castle image behind it. So I glued it obviously in the wrong place. It needed to bend over a little bit more, but I still like it to the fold. So I'm okay with that. I just need to find some more. Okay, so I cut out another piece of castle and pieced it, kind of layered on top of each other and glued it flat down on there. So I made it tall on the side. This is the original one. And then I added a little bit down in front so that when we glue this together, you see castle in there, okay? And then over here on this side, I did glue down some branches just to kind of add to that. So this is the way it looks now with everything glued down. And so now we're ready to put the page set or the signature together. And we do this side exactly like we did that side. So we put a line of glue along this long one here, the widest one. We bring this next one to it and line everything up side to side, top to bottom. Should be pretty close. It may be a little off depending on your trimmer or how it was cut. But anyway, just go ahead and burnish that down. Then another line of glue. The next section, pull it over and line it up. hold it in place. One more. The last one, just your front one. Line it up. Make sure you don't mesh down your pop-up there. Okay, just let those dry. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now I'm going to add some more of the gold. Here on those where they're all glued together, just to make sure it's covered good. Okay, and that is this page set done. So when it's in the book, it's going to fold up nice and neatly. All our elements are within the folds, and when it opens up, you can see the castle way back there. See it back in there? The owl, the second castle here, the pop-up one here, and this pop-up, and the car, and the tree, and the big owl. I love how that looks. That looks awesome. So now, this is number one. You have 5 more to go. I'm going to do 5, just the same method, the same cutouts. Then I'm going to fussy cut and add in my different elements. And then when I'm done, I'm going to come back, put some gold on him. I'm going to come back and show you what I've done. Okay, I'm just putting some gold on my owl's wings, just a little bit. Okay, there we go. And show you what I've done, and then I will show you how to put all these into your book cover that you've already made. All right, so I will get busy with this and show you all those steps. And remember, I will be making different pop-ups using the same method where you take a strip. You can do 1/2-inch strip, 1 inch, whatever you want, and then score every 1/2 inch, and then every cut up 5, 3, 4, 5. So these I don't have enough. I might glue one together. You can glue them together, fold them up, so you have like that, and you glue one together like this, and that makes your rectangle what they call the bone. I'm sorry, I was off camera. Glue it together. That makes your rectangle. For your pop-ups, this is what's called like the bones of a pop-up. And I love to add in pop-ups like that to give it some dimension. Okay, so I'll be back with the next step, which will be showing you how to put them into the book. I have all my page sets done, and I just have them clipped together so I can see how they look. So like this one is the first one. You can see all the detail. This is Dumbledore all the way through to the back. And then this one is the chess pieces. So I have different elements all the way through there. And then here we have this scene with the chocolate frogs and the jelly beans, if you can see through there. And some more. This is the, how do you say that? I haven't watched Harry Potter in a long time. I have no clue. Quidditch? I don't know. But anyway, there's all that. See back in there. And then here we have the map, the Maruda's map. Put that snake. And see, I have the pop-up elements here that I added in. I'll give you more detail once this is in the book. There's the cars. So this will be the first page here, and then Dumbledore would be the next. But anyway, we're all ready to start putting them into the book. So yeah, let me get my glue and everything ready. We'll put them in the book cover, and then I'll be finishing up this project by decorating the cover, and then I'll have film the walkthrough for you and show you how everything looks. So here's the cover opened up. This is the front. Here's the back. I'm going to start, I believe, from the back. So I've unclipped all these, folded them up, so I have them in order that I want them to go. So this is my first one. The last one that goes on the back. Initially, I was going to glue the last page into the cover, and I changed my mind. But what you need to do, starting from the back, you're going to glue each page set to the last one before or after it. So here, this is the second to the last page set. You want to make sure you get glue. Now, I did find that it's probably better to leave a little space along the fold line, like maybe um, 1/8 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch from the fold line to give that space some room to open up. But line up each page set to the one that you just finished gluing in the order. So you're starting at the back. I glue to the back one, then the next one to the back, so on and so on until I get to the one on the very front. And then I will put it in the cover. It didn't quite work right the way I wanted it to by starting by just gluing into the cover. So don't do that. Glue all the page sets together. Then then you will glue the back page into the back cover and then the other cover, the front cover into the front. I hope that makes sense. So what I do when I'm gluing them together, you stack it down on top of each other and then you burnish really well the best you can in with all those elements that you have in there. So again, I'm putting the glue on. You do want quite a bit of glue on all the surface, but like I said, leave a little bit of space from the fold edge that has no glue so that it can kind of open up just a tiny bit there in the cover. So go ahead and put all your glue all your sets together. Just always make sure you're not putting one in upside down. Make sure you're gluing it so that the folds are all together. You don't want it backwards anywhere at all. So be real careful doing that. Make sure you glue everything in the order that you want it to be. So there's my fold, and it goes towards the spine and the fold of the other sets. So I'm going to speed this up and go ahead and glue all these together. Okay, so all my page sets are glued together. And you can see there in the back cover where I lifted up where I had glued that down. You don't want to glue that down until you're ready, all the pages are put together. So once you have all your page sets glued together, take your bone folder, and where the folds are, I'm just kind of opening up about 1/8 of an inch or so inside, making sure nothing's glued down so that there's a little bit of spacing there. And I'm just adding some ink to some of the places that got tore up from where I lifted up the cover or the page set. As soon as I realized I should not have glued that in, I pulled it up. So if you ever have to pull something up and you want to make it look not so glaringly white where you've removed something, just take some of your ink and patch it up a little bit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put that glue on the back side, the very back of all the page sets, the very last page set. And we're doing the same thing, except this time we're going to glue it into the back cover. So I'm getting a pretty good amount here to replace where I pulled it up. Make sure everything is going to stick down. And you see here, I'm kind of staying away from the very edge of that fold edge that's going to go towards the spine. Okay, so once you have all your glue on, and make sure nothing's upside down, we're going to position the fold here close to the spine fold. You don't want to go into the spine section. You just want it as close as you can get it. Center your pages, top to bottom. I've got about, a 1/2 inch there on the edge and about 1/4 of an inch at the top and at the bottom. I'm going to flip this over and burnish it down really good. And what you want to do is make sure that once this section is glued, you're going to let it dry before you attempt to glue the front part. So just glue it on there, clip it in if you want to, and let it dry. Okay, so once the back has been glued on really good, it's dried, then go ahead and put glue on the front of the first page sets. So remember, all your pages or page sets are glued together. So this is the last one. We're going to glue this to the front cover. So I'm applying glue, and again, there on that left side where the hinge goes, I did leave about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You don't want to glue it all the way to the fold. You just need a little bit where it can give when the pages are opening. So once you've got your glue on there, then you're going to lift all these pages, and you're going to have to stretch page 1 over. I'm going to stand it up so I can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit. You don't want it to glue into the spine, so line it all up the same as the back one. You want about 1/4 of an inch from the top and the bottom edge, and then you'll end up with about 1/2 inch on the side outer edge. You're just making sure that the fold edge of that page is along the spine folding, and it does not go into the spine. So I'm just double checking. Sometimes I have to reposition and add more glue if necessary to get this to fit in, and then you were going to burnish it. So once I have it positioned, I'm double checking, making sure it's not going over the spine. Okay, I'm looking it over. Then I'm going to reach in there with my fingers, my bone folder, and burnish. I'm going to get that page burnished in and stuck down good. And it's also a good idea to take something long and flat. I'm looking for my ruler. My metal ruler, I like to use that. Reach up under there and burnish that page down all the way across. And this one, we're also going to have to let it glue. You can clip it together and let it glue. Just set it aside. And then I'm going to get my ribbons ready. So I'm going to do triple on this. So I use the burgundy, navy, and the golden yellow. And I've spritzed them to get them more crinkled. I did cut about 16 inches of each color twice, tied them together on one end. So this is what they're going to look like. This loose end is what's going to attach to the cover. So I'll be getting that done, and as soon as this dries enough, then we'll do that, and then I will decorate my cover and show you the finished project. So now we're ready to put our ribbon closures on. Now instead of poking a hole in it, which you can do and tie in if you want with eyelets or something, on this one, and I did this also on the Alice one, I just took the ribbons and I'm going to take score tape and I'm going to center them right there. I'm going to tape them down first. First, I'm going to put a piece of tape where the center is. I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to put the ribbons in. I'm going to just trim them till they're even here. Okay. Put the yellow one. Just overlapping it a little bit. And the red, like that. Then I'm going to take another piece of score tape over that to secure them. And then to finish that off, I like to take a cut apart, and I've chosen this crystal ball one. And I'm going to glue that right on top. And then if you want, you can take, I did ink the edges of this with gold. If you want, you can take some of your glossy accents or Nouveau crystal glaze and fill it in over the crystal ball, if that's the collection you're using. Like this one, I did it on the clock to kind of make it like a finished raised piece. If there's any tape showing, make sure you rub that off. You don't want to leave that on there where it's sticky. Had a little bit right there on mine. Lift it up and get it underneath there. Okay. Okay, so that's like that. Then we flip it over. We're going to take our tape. Now we have to be a little careful with this tape because I'm using a different direction on my finishing piece. So I'm going to run my tape the other way. Use 3 pieces, 1 for each ribbon, like this. Okay. Pull those backings off. Trim the ends of these even. Whoops, the other way. Don't want it upside down. All right, here. Okay. Whoops. Now the glue, we're going to put some more tape on them. But I want to make sure that's going to cover it like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape just on the end. Short piece. Just to kind of give it extra because the glue is going to hold it though. Now then, I'm going to use this chocolate frog cut apart here. And again, I did ink the edges with the gold. And I'm going to just stick him on here on the back. So this kind of adds an extra decorating element there on the back. I like that. The map. Turn it over. So of course this is how we tie it closed. I love using triple seam binding ribbon that's been crinkled like that. So now I'm going to do some decorating here. Not a whole lot. Now I did put flowers on this one, so I may on this one as well. You do have space where you can put some thicker elements because of the spine. It keeps it off of it when it's open back. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll be back to show you real quickly the finished one, and hope that you will also make one too. Okay, so my tunnel book, my Adventures in Magic tunnel book for Country Craft Creations is finished. I love how it turned out. So what I did is from the cut aparts, I took this little tag that says it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live, and I inked the edges with gold, and I used 2 tiny little gold flat backs right there. Of course, here we had this piece with the ribbon, and I did add, if you can see it shiny, the glossy accents there. And I also added this cut apart here with Harry's glasses. So I also put the glossy in the lenses, so you can see that. This is some the Prima flowers from Country Craft Creations I've had in my stash. It's a mixture of them. Attach these in a cluster on some paper, and then just, because you can see the paper here, and glue them down. Then I added the blue one, and then a grouping of the maroon ribbon here and some greenery. And then I glued in a few of the gold Prima pearls. And then this is a spider web and spider charm I had in my stash. So I tied that on with a charm clip pin, and I just think that finished it off really well. So spine is plain. Um, the back has the chocolate frog. So let's take a peek inside real quick. Okay, so when you open it up, it just automatically pops up like this. So we have the pop-up castle right here. You can pull them up a little more as you're looking at them, and the envelope. So there's the car. If you look way down in there, you can see the castle and everything. Turn to the second page. It also pops up. We have a little pop-up here with the cauldron, and this book, spell book pops up. We got the brooms. We got Dumbledore, the Phoenix. So if you look way down in there, you can just see it graduates with Dumbledore like all the way through, like maybe a mirror would do. And I fussy cut out all these different little potion bottles. And the next one is the chess pieces. So there's a few popped up here, like this one. Give it some dimension. It can pop up a little more in here. And just glued that down in there. And I've got a spider way back in there. You can see him. And then here we have the chocolate frogs popped up. Some jelly beans, another potion bottle, and a cauldron. The Phoenix goes all the way through. You can see more chocolate frogs through there. And then the Quidditch game, I think that's what I figured out it's called. Anyway, I added a chocolate frog popped up here. This is popped up. So it just kind of, all those elements go all the way through to the sky in the background with the wording. And then the last page, I cut out a piece of the map, kind of folded to kind of mimic a Maruda's map. Glasses, the snake is popped up. That's from a cut apart. I put the train there, the dark moon, and the castle cut apart here. I fussy cut the rat out of a cut apart and then glued him behind some of those potion bottles in there, and then put that way back there in the back where you can see, and a little more of the elements here from Harry Potter. And so that's it. That's the book. And again, you can flip the cover backwards and tie it so it'll look like that from the top, but then on a shelf, you can see all the elements all the way around. You could put it on a revolving platform if you wanted to, but that's what it looks like. Lots of fun. I hope you enjoyed this, and give it a try in your favorite paper collection, and just make you a little masterpiece tunnel book. It's a lot of fun. It's really easy to make. It's time consuming for all the fussy cutting, but the results are great. Thanks so much, everybody. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you'll see my next tutorial. Check out Country Craft Creations for your supplies. This is an exclusive paper collection from their shop. And again, it's called Adventures in Magic. So I'll see you all again. Bye-bye.